Hi everyone, this is Sean Ismail from Cloud Ranger, and this is the Microsoft Azure training. In today's session, we are going to talk about navigating the Azure portal. I am sort of excited today to actually bring this session because today we are going to really get to work hands-on with Microsoft Azure. And the presentation today is going to be a little bit shorter than the previous sessions that we had because I'm going to try to keep this as small as possible so you get a chance to actually work hands-on side by side while I do this. Feel free to pause anytime and go through the steps I'm going through. Okay, so we are going to talk about navigating the Azure portal. So when it comes to Microsoft Azure, portal is the place where you are going to do everything. It's very minimalistic, web-based user interface, and it's very lightweight. So you'll find it very intuitive. And Microsoft has refined it over the years and months to get it to be as efficient as possible. And portal, we have gone through in the last session showing a little bit of how to get to Microsoft Account Center, the Azure Account Center, as well as the portal. And today we are going to actually deep dive and do some work. So as far as the portal is concerned, there are sort of two portals. One is the Microsoft Azure Management Portal in that URL that shows over here, manage.windowsazure.com. And then they have the preview portal, which is technically supposed to be the most updated management portal. It's still in preview, which in Azure term means it's still sort of in beta version of things, where you get to see how it's morphing to the final product. And preview portal is somewhere we are not going to spend so much time with, even though that's where things will eventually go. What we are going to do is spend most of our time in the Azure Management Portal. But I will go through the preview portal to actually show you around how to do things, but we will be mostly doing things in the Management Portal. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any time on the slides. Let's get it started. Okay, so I'm at the browser, and the first thing we are going to do is go to the management portal, and it's quite simple to remember actually. HTTPS, and it's going to be manage.windowsazure.com, and we'll have to log in here, and we will log in with the credentials that we had created the other day, if you remember from the previous sessions there. So it's going to be Cloud Ranger blog at hotmail.com. You're obviously going to enter the one you have, your Microsoft account that you have, that you created the trial subscription with. This is the one we have been working on. So we're going to just log in. It's going to redirect us to enter our credentials. And we are going to do that at this point. And this will bring us to the management portal, where we'll be doing most of our things from. Takes a little bit to load. And I'm running this live without pausing, so you understand the time it takes for everything to load up, really. And that's it, we are in. So let's talk about the panels here a little bit and how everything is organized. So on the top here, this is actually the top panel, and over here, if you remember the trial subscription we created for $220, you can actually check the credit status on this. So you can see that I have 27 days left and I have not really used this trial subscription. So I have the entire $220 here. You can obviously click here and go to more details, but it actually keeps showing you your credit status of how much money do you have. Over here on the top panel menu, if you remember, if you click on View My Bill, it actually takes you to your Azure account page. It asks you to actually enter your credentials once more. So this is that location where in the account center you can actually go to view your bill, your subscriptions, and things like that. So while that loads over here, you can see that's the free trial subscription that we have been running. And if you click on that, it actually breaks down and shows you how much charges you have incurred here. So that's loading right now. and you can click from here and go to the portal where we were earlier, just in case you log into this one first. But you can see there's more details than the last session we had. It obviously shows free websites and data transfer out, some things I have tried earlier. Obviously, it hasn't charged me for those services because I haven't really run them long enough. But if you have run your services for long enough, a couple of days, then you'd actually start seeing those numbers here. So it's pretty intuitive that way because you can see what you have been spending on, and it's quite itemized, and it's interesting. Anyway, so this is not where we are going to spend our time with today. We are going to spend our time actually in the Microsoft Azure Management Portal. So that's where we were. This is where you would actually sign out as well. And if you look at this option here, switch to new portal, that actually takes you to the new preview portal. It does not log off this one, but it will take you to the portal.azure.com. You can obviously go here directly, or you can come from your classic or your current management portal and click on that and get here. So now that we are here, I haven't really been here too many times, so it's actually setting up my environment, and that's how you come to your new preview portal. As you can see, there are obvious differences between the management portal here and the preview portal here. Essentially, what I have been told is that you can do same thing here in the preview portal, but you should be able to do much more. It's supposed to be more intuitive, but I must say I haven't spent too much time over here, even though I'll give you a demonstration of how things are done here so you can play around a little bit and navigate and see what you can do. But we will spend our time here. So that was the top panel. Now let's talk about the left panel over here, or sometimes it's known as the sidebar. What you can see over here are different services that are provided by Microsoft Azure Cloud Service, and we will go through each of them in subsequent sessions to actually show you what can be done here and what we are going to use. But we'll not go through all of them today, but these are all the services. These are all like your SaaS, your PaaS, as well as IaaS services all are together. They're not really combined or categorized under SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, but you'll get used to all of these once we start going through other sessions and start picking up. Obviously, we are not this training session really concentrates on IaaS, so that's what we'll be concentrating on. So there might be some stuff here that we will not be going over in details besides explaining what it does, but that's where it is. So on the sidebar, as you can see, for example, if you go to websites, this is the main panel, or you can start seeing it's obviously sensitive of what you pick on the left hand side, so it just gets you started on the details or on the main panel of what you're choosing and trying to do here. So based on the cloud services here, once you click on them, you can see it brings you to newer panels as we go through these services. So in settings, for example, you can actually see, we went through this the other day a little bit. This is your subscription. So you also have tabs when you come to the main panel based on the service you choose. So we can actually see the administrator of our subscription, which is the service administrator, was the account I used to log in. This is the affinity group, which we'll not be setting, but that's where you can see here. And the other thing to notice here is that once you click on these tabs over here, it's actually context sensitive, and which means is that it will actually start bringing you options based on what you choose over here. So when you create an affinity groups, you want to add one, you can add or delete one, you can see it changed. When you go to administrator, you can see it has changed as well. So based on the cloud service you choose on your left panel, the top tabs change as well as the context sensitive menu here. So for example, if we go to virtual machines, you'll see the tabs obviously over here has changed, and consequentially the context sensitive menu bar, if you must say, changed as well. The other thing to notice here is the command bar. So every time you choose a service here and you click on new, you'll see it actually dips, like it drills through and takes you exactly where, for example, this website service would give you the options to. For example, create, custom create from gallery. You can obviously use this menu over here to actually choose other services. So for example, if you want to create a virtual machine, you come to compute here, then a virtual machine, and you can see it goes from here. Or if you are in virtual machines here directly and you click on new, you will see that it will actually go and drill down for you to that place, and just makes it a little bit intuitive, but obviously you can do that manually. The next thing we want to talk about is the notification. So as you can see, there's a little notification bar over here. I have a notification, which is a warning. It says, looks like it's a free trial, so it's just reminding me that it's going to expire soon, which is like 27 days or so. So I'm going to just click on OK for now, and it will go away. This notification bar also works when you have a long process running. So for example, if I'm trying to spin up a virtual machine, you can see in the notification bar over here that it will show you the progress of the task. And this task notifications can keep piling as you go through different services and they're waiting. And we'll go through something that will demonstrate that. So, okay. I think that's basically what this can do. And let's actually try some things over here while we are here so you can actually get a little bit used to it. You don't have to understand completely what I'm trying to do here. And the reason behind that is anytime you're trying to do something new, it might be a little overwhelming at first. So feel free to pause and dig around here to different services and see what you can do, or you can follow along things I'm doing as well to just get used to the panels over here or this portal in general. But don't get caught up with different things I'm going to show right now, because we will be going through or have dedicated sessions for those in the future to go through. Let's see what we can do here so I can sort of demonstrate everything we have done so far. Let's create a storage account. So I'll talk about a storage account, like I said, in much details in a different session, but let's create a storage account so you can see how this is done. As you can see, it brought up that little wizard, if you must say. So let's put in a URL. So we'll just call it Cloud Ranger 100. As you can see that this has to be a unique name, and the little check mark over here says that it's quite unique. So if I put something obvious like Microsoft over here, obviously you can see from this exclamation mark here that it's probably taken. So you have to remember you are in a public domain. So when you create something, it's for you, but there might be names or URLs that others already might have taken. And those URLs are probably something that will be provided as an interface to you in some manner, and it needs to be unique. So for us, something unique would be like Cloud Ranger 100, and you can see it's obviously not taken, so it's allowing me to do that. You can put whatever you want if you're following through as I go along. Now you're going to choose a location affinity group. I don't have any affinity groups created. I'll just create a location. This is the closest to me. Feel free to pick one that's closest to you. I'm obviously in Canada, so I'm not going to pick something, for example, East Asia or Japan West or something like that, because that would be kind of far from where I am located. Replication, I'm going to just do locally redundant. And this is almost like a wizard, so let's create the storage account. So as you can see, the notification bar, like I mentioned, that it actually shows you the progressing tasks. So right now you can actually see it's creating the storage account. I'm quite happy with how Azure deals with this, because they precisely show you every single task that you are doing. So at the same time, if I was actually creating a virtual machine, it would just pile up on top of here, and it would show it's also creating my virtual machines, and it would go through each and every step until it fails or it succeeds. So for example, it shows over here that the storage account was created, and I click OK. And this is what I was talking about. If you go to all these cloud services, you start seeing what you have. So if we go to storage, we can see we just created the Cloud Ranger 100. The status is online, and you see the context menus over here obviously changed. So let's go in here, and you can see that there are many options like the dashboards and all the options at a quick glance here, showing you all the things that you can do with this storage account. At the same time, it gives you some information about your subscription name, when it was created, location you are in. So basically, you can come over here from the main panel and start seeing things. You can go to containers here, configure things. So I'm not going to get into details, but this is how you'd be in a cloud service, and you'll configure things. And since I'm already here, I just want to show you something amazing, that this is what cloud is all about, that you can actually come over here and make changes to how you need your things. You might not need something today, but you might need something as your business grows. So we were locally redundant, and don't worry about all these details. We'll go over them later, but you can see you can actually change your options as we go, as you need it. And you can always return back to what you need in certain circumstances. So that's what cloud does for you, and you don't have to know what's happening underlying. When you created this storage account over here, whatever you store over here, you don't have to worry about buying disks and or locally attached storage or directly attached storage or anything like that. So this is the main flexibility that cloud provides, and the true essence of clouds, as you can see. This is pretty neat. So you can always get back to the main page or the main panel by always clicking the back arrow. And while we are here, I want to show you something. The all items option here. So when you create this, you might have, like for example, you see all these are 0. We created something in storage, so you have one item here. We obviously have a directory associated with our subscriptions, which is the default directory, and you can see it was already there. So if you come to all items, you can actually see all the items that you have in the cloud, and they can be all over here. Right now, this is actually pretty clean because we haven't really done anything, but when you create multiple virtual machines, you have multiple virtual networks or services, this can pile up because it just gives you everything in one glance, and it might be a little confusing, but it's really helpful sometimes to see things, and I do frequently quite a bit. So we have done this, and I showed you the progress bar. Let me see what I can think of. So that was the all items. So these are some things we have done here, and I did mention that we are not going to spend a lot of time in the new Azure portal, but I want to show you a little bit around there as well, because now that we have some objects created over here, we can see how it looks there. So the first thing I want to show you here is actually the new portal, and it's already loaded for us. And this panel over here is actually called the, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the start mode, because you start with things over here. And it's very highly customizable, so you can actually add things and remove things, as you can see from here. So let's go to the service health, and these are all the regions of Azure. I really like this one because you can come over here and in a glance see status of all the services. So these are all the cloud services that are provided by Microsoft Azure, and with the check mark shows that the status of those services, and right now there's nothing that's down, which is good. So for example, if we actually look for something like storage, I just want to see how the storage is in all regions. You can see obviously it opens a little panel here, and this is what they call the blade. I don't know, because it just comes out like a blade or so, but this blade comes out, and we were in East US, so you can click on that, and you can actually see it says no problems, everything is running great, which is awesome. And so this is like the storage blade. Anytime you are in here or anywhere, within the blades, you can always click on home and it will take you to the start blade or the start board here, and you can do other things while that blade is open. So for example, if you go to browse and you can see storage, if we click on that, it opens up the storage blade, and Cloud Ranger 100 was the one we created. So this is similar to the management portal. When we went to storage over here and we saw this, you can see it's almost similar, not quite the same, but almost similar. And when you click on it, you can actually take this thing and pin it on the start board. So I double clicked on that and I'm looking for some details of my Cloud Ranger 100. And as you can see, move this around a little bit and it shows me some details on the storage. Right now I don't have anything. Obviously, if I had tables or queues or blobs, they all would be showing here. And there's really not much here at this point, but that's where it would be. And let's do this. So let's take this storage we had and pin it to the start board. And the way you would do it is obviously just click on pin blade to start board. So if we go back home, you can actually see Cloud Ranger 100 is now on the start board. So this creates a shortcut, and if you click on this next time, it will actually jump you in that blade directly. So in certain ways, this is definitely much more intuitive than the management portal, the classic management portal. It can get a little confusing at the beginning because all these things show up and you really do not know what it does. So one way I have learned this or tried to learn this was come over here and get into details and see what I have and compare to these blades. And obviously once you know what each of these things do, it will start making more sense. But that's how you do it. You have a notification here, so you can actually see the notifications. The other thing that's interesting over here is active. This is something actually that used to be called Journey before, and what I would do is click on active and you can actually see where you have been. So for example, we were looking at the service health. So if you click on that, and if you recall, we never really closed these blades, so it was open. So you could actually see that. If you actually close these blades and then go to home or go to active, you'll see that we are no longer there because we have always closed it. I mean, obviously closed it. Now, if you had multiple things open, like we went to Cloud Ranger 100, you can see it will just bring up the entire thing. It's almost like a history that it maintains to bring you back to where you were. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go for here with the portal. Once again, the URL for this was portal.azure.com and the old one was manage.windowsazure.com. So there's not a whole lot I want to do here. Obviously, once we start doing more things in other sessions, we will be coming over here to compare, to show how things look over here. Right now, obviously, I've been so used to using this portal. It actually makes more sense for me to use this one. You might feel that this might be more intuitive and more user-friendly for you. Feel free to use that, and anything we do in this portal, try to actually do those here. That will be a good way to learn how to use the new portal. So let's go. I'm going to close this right now, and let's go here and see what else I can talk about for you to see. As you can see, there is another notification here. It says that maintenance is planned for one of your services, one or more of your services. So that's another thing Azure does, is it notifies you if you have some service or something running where a maintenance is planned. It will show you, obviously, if you have redundancy in place, which we will show in subsequent sessions, how to make your virtual machines, networks, and services redundant. You'd not have too much of a problem with these maintenances because you'll always have a right uptime. So for now, I'm going to just close this and it will disappear here. So let me see what else I can show you here to make things I talked about the subscriptions, so this is where you'd go and check the subscriptions. Let's see. Well, I think that was most of it. You can obviously, after this session, just play around and see what is available for you. Do not be overwhelmed by all these services over here. We will be going through most of them in this training. And I just want to let you also know that everything that you are seeing over here, you can interface with PowerShell. So yes, PowerShell is going to be very important. In fact, I have a PowerShell session coming up very, very soon, which will show you how to interact with your subscription and start using PowerShell to, I wouldn't say view, but to start, querying services that you are using and show the power of PowerShell to automate a lot of stuff for you. Meanwhile, before I do anything else, I do want to let you know one more thing. Like I mentioned in my past sessions that everything here is utility based. So do not forget that once we have created a storage account here, if we create any storage or if we put any items there, you'll start getting billed for it. So you see this create status, you'll probably come the next day and you'll see a couple of cents have gone from here or a couple of dollars have gone depending on what you have done. Um, don't worry about this. I know you have put your credit card information, but do not worry about it. As long as you are on the free trial subscription, you are only going to be limited to $220. So there is no point, at no point that your credit card will start getting charged. In fact, I'll let you, and I've done this a couple of times, so I'll let you know with this trial subscription, what happens is it will send you emails. It will give you notifications here saying that your 30 days are going to be over, or 27 in my case right now, or if you're running out of your dollars. But your trial subscription at no point is going to become a regular subscription and start charging your credit card. To do that, you actually have to go and tell Azure to do that. So I've done that with a couple of my subscriptions where I have gone through a pay-as-you-go, where I actually pay for the services that I use with Microsoft Azure. But for all purposes right now, you are going to be limited with how many dollars you have left over here. To make the most out of this $220, I know this sounds quite a bit, but at the same time, when you are having fun running a lot of things in Azure, they, there will be a point that you might actually deplete it quite fast. So the best way to deal with that is everything you do during a training session before you log off for the day or whatever, if you really don't need it, make sure you either stop it or you delete the service. So certain services you can stop. So for example, you can turn off a virtual machine and it's not going to charge you for it, even if you have worked in there. The next day you just pretty much turn it on and it'll start charging you again. So you know that you are only getting charged for what you're using. But certain things you will not have that many or that much good control of. So for example, if you have stored something like your virtual machine is turned off, but your virtual hard drive, the VHD, is still part of your storage. So you will still be charged a couple of cents for it. So those are the things you won't be able to prevent. So once you have created everything, you will start getting billed for certain things. The only way to get rid of all charges would be to delete everything, and that will not make sense all the time. So for training trial, you can obviously delete and come back and recreate everything. For now, if you create a virtual machine, as long as you turn it off, the storage charges are really minimal. So you don't have to worry too much. You can just come next day and you should be within your $220 and make the best bang for the buck. So I was contemplating to actually end this session right now, but I'm thinking I'm going to show you a little bit of a power of what cloud can do for you and how rapid. I'm going to get into a little bit more details. Don't worry if you don't understand anything right now. We'll go over sessions and sessions over how to work with a particular cloud service. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to create a website, a data-driven website. Yes, you have heard me right. It's a data-driven website in a matter of minutes. I'm not going to put data and bring everything up, but I'll show you what cloud can do for you, like in a really rapid manner and how elastic it can be. So for example, we are going to create a public website. So let's do this. Let's create a website, and I'm going to custom create a website. Um, so this is a wizard that will just ask you for some information before before your website comes up. So I'm looking for a URL. I'll just call it, I don't know, test12345. Let's see. Well, as you can see, this is going to be a public website, test12345.azurewebsites.net. Seems like somebody already has taken it. So let's try something else there. 100. Somebody has taken it. 1000 maybe. Okay, test 1000 is a website that's not been taken in the Azure websites. So I'm going to create a new web host plan. I'm in East US. There's no database, so let me create one. As you can see, you can create a MySQL here, regular SQL here, and I'm just going to create a 20 MB SQL database here. For you developers, you can see it's actually looking for the connection string. You can also publish from the source control. So technically you could have published a website from your Visual Studio or something like a GitHub or wherever. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to use the default connection, test 1000. I'm going to just copy it to remember. As you can see, this wizard progresses to ask you more stuff. It's looking for the database settings. So what is going to be the name of the database we'll create? So the name, I'll just call it, I don't know, let's call it Cloud Ranger DB1 and choose a server. I don't know, just choose one of the ones that looks like I've done before, or I'll just choose a new SQL database server and the login. I'm going to just put it Sean. So do not worry about the details here and why we are doing here if this is completely unfamiliar to you. What I'm basically trying to do here is demonstrate what cloud can do for you, not really get into Azure websites or SQL databases. But what this is going to do is it's actually, what I'm trying to do here is create a website. It's going to use a database, and I'm showing you how platform as a service and everything integrates together, because this database is going to be a perfect example of a platform as a service. I'm putting a new SQL server, database name and the credentials here. It's actually going to go to this database server and create a database for me, and I can then get into the database and create tables and do whatever. But platform as a service, as you know, you do not have to worry about the platform underlying the technology. So for example, I do not have to go for and create a new VM and install SQL Server and create databases. So all of that is going to be taken care of for me. And that's what makes platform as a service so interesting and so much better for people who don't want to get into such things. Obviously, if you're a very, very large company and creating a large website, things would be a little different for you. But if you're a mid-size or even sometimes large, depending on what your website is going to do, this should be more than enough. So let's click on OK. As you can see, it's actually creating my website as well as the database for me over here. So this is going to be taking a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do is actually no. As you can see, that was quite fast. It didn't even allow me to pause. Let's click on details, and you can see the database for Cloud Ranger DB was created, a SQL database server was provisioned, and it created the website as well. So for all purposes, if I go to test 00, as you can see, let's go back here. If I go to websites, it actually shows the test 1000 website was created, and that is the URL. So I'm going to copy that, and let's go in here. You can see the website is created and it's running, and we can monitor. There's obviously not a whole lot to monitor here, but you can see all these details would have come up over here. Data in, data out, the CPU. You can configure a bunch of things here, and once it loads, you can actually choose your .NET version and everything over here. This is really, really awesome. As you can see, you can add so many things. We'll go into details of this later. Let me go back and show you what has happened. So there was a SQL database that was created. We obviously created a database here. Let's go to the dashboard and see what we can do. You see it created a random server. That was the server name in the cloud. And there's a little bit more details over here and more options for you to choose to do stuff. You can go to configure, your application, bunch of things. So you can see that we went to that wizard and did that, and it used multiple services from the existing here. So the SQL databases was created here, and the website was created here. And right now, all items will make a lot more sense because you can see we created the Cloud Ranger storage account earlier, but now you can see there are two more items, a website item and a SQL database item that were created here. And you can do, when you click on this, you can see the context menu changing, and you can do a bunch of stuff with these objects. So for example, you could actually open up this database in Visual Studio and start designing the tables and everything. That's what I wanted to show, that how fast you can actually bring things up. And all right, let's actually, this should be live, DNS and everything should be taken care of for you. So we should be able to go to this website from anywhere in the world right now. So if you click on this and wait for the website, obviously we haven't really put any data in there or have done anything, but as you can see, this website for all purposes is actually live right now. You could actually distribute this URL. And since it actually went and created a DNS, if you recall when we tried to create this website with test 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this, it didn't work. I'm just thinking if somebody was doing anything with their website. I'm just curious. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I remember that it mentioned that it was taken. I'm just wondering what was in there. It's still loading. Looks like nothing was there after all. But yeah, this is our website, the one we created. So if you are using test 1000, chances are it probably might tell you that it's already taken. So use test a random number, and you should have created with actually a random number, and you should have been able to see that here. So that's the true power of cloud. As you can see, this was so rapid. We actually created a website. There was an underlying database that was connected to the website. So we could have actually opened this up in Visual Studio or somewhere through some other means and actually interacted and put data and created a data-driven website. So what's happening here is the cloud is giving you the capability of creating something rapid. You don't have to worry about underlying platform. You don't have to go and get your virtual machine up or a physical server up, create web server, create SQL, install SQL Server, and create a database and do all of that. Obviously, those can be actually done in the cloud as well. As you can see, virtual machines, we should be able to create a virtual machine and do all of that. But if you are not familiar with all of that and you are just a developer and you want to do something really rapid without getting into the headache of learning and figuring out how to do the underlying infrastructure, then you don't have to. And in certain senses, for example, you are just a small business and your client comes and tells you that, hey, I just need a couple of pages to be up and running to showcase my business and what we do. You don't have to go buy a server and get things together and do that for them. This website that's created over here in a couple of pages will probably cost you only a few dollars a month to run, and it won't be a big deal. Okay, so I think that concludes our session over here. What I want to show you at this time, like I said, that I won't be needing all of this, and we are not going to go over this right now. So I want to actually delete this right now. Let's just stop it and delete it. And as you can see, it shows it has stopped. I am going to actually delete this website. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to be charged for this overnight if I leave this on, because I want to make the most of my $220. As you can see, it says this website was deployed within the database. Do you want to delete it? Sure, I want to delete everything right now. So it's deleting the website and its slots. It takes a little bit of time to delete, and you can go to details, and you can actually see that it first deleted the SQL database, then it deleted the website. Click on OK here. Let's go to SQL database here and delete the database. Yes, delete. And could not delete this. Why was that? Cloud remittance. Okay, so that was actually a remnant from the other one. When we deleted the website, it did not refresh, so it showed that, but obviously it was deleted. So when I tried to delete it again, it just said it was not there. So let's delete the storage account which I created first. It's actually trying to confirm that you want to delete this storage, so it's going to take the storage name. This is one way to ensure that you're not deleting all your data. It's a fail-safe process here, and I think it's pretty interesting because a couple of clicks and you could have lost all the data you had there. So once you come to all items here, you should not see anything except the default directory, and I want to keep the default directory here. So everything else is 0, and there's not much here that's left on. So that's what the portal is all about. Feel free to actually view this video and go through the session once more if you really have to. Otherwise, if you have already subscribed to the trial subscription, you should be able to have your own account right now to play with, and feel free to play around over here as long as you delete them and make sure there's nothing in all items. That'll be pretty clear. If you have not created a subscription, you might as well create one right now before we get into too many details, because the most effective way to learn would be follow along what I do. And that's it for this session. So let's go back to our slide real quick. Okay, we're back to our slides right now. As usual, our training site is at cloudranger.net/Azure-training. Our YouTube is in this location at Cloud Ranger Network. We have a Twitter at Cloud Ranger Blog. We are on Google+. And feel free to comment on these videos. And if you have questions, ask them there. And that will be the best way to reach me. However, if you want to reach me for other things or want to have like different discussions regarding cloud and services, or if you have any very specific question that you think nobody else will benefit because it will be more private nature, you can go to Sean@cloudranger.net. Feel free to comment on these videos as well, so I can know and figure out if it's working for you or if you want things differently. So feel free to share. Thank you for viewing, and I will see you in the next session.